Welcome back. We're following some breaking news. We just learned that earthquake that happened earlier in New Jersey. There has been an aftershock of 4.0 just recently.
And we heard our phones ringing off the hook here from this vantage point in the newsroom. So we know you felt it too. Let's get right to Chief Meteorologist Ryan Hanrahan. Ryan, it is not uncommon to feel aftershocks from a sizable earthquake.
No, certainly not. And we had a lot of people reporting this aftershock. They were able to feel it as it moved on through. I want to send things over to an expert on geology and earthquakes, a geologist at Yale. Maureen Long is joining us. She's the chair of the Department of Earth and Planetary Sciences at Yale. And Dr. Long, I want to start with this aftershock we just had at 6 o'clock. Do we know that we're just going to have aftershocks from here on out, or do we run the risk of a bigger earthquake down the line?
Yeah, that's a terrific question, Ryan. You know, for an earthquake, the initial shock, a magnitude 4.8, we might well expect an aftershock of about a magnitude 4 or so. And in fact, just about 15 minutes ago, that's exactly what we saw. So it's very possible that there may be continued aftershocks. The most likely scenario is that they will be smaller. We might expect to see a few more magnitude, say 2 or 3 aftershocks. There is a very small chance that we might see an earthquake that is bigger than that initial shock. That is not the most likely scenario, and there's probably less than a 1% chance of that happening, but we can't rule it out either.
Now, Dr. Long, talk a little bit about earthquakes here in Connecticut, because we do get them sometimes, but they tend to be a lot weaker than what we see, say, in California or Alaska or Japan. Why is that the case?
That's exactly right. So here in Connecticut and in the eastern part of the U.S., we are very far away from any tectonic plate boundaries. Places like California or Taiwan, as we saw with the earthquake earlier this week, they're located on plate boundaries. Those are places that have much more frequent earthquakes and generally larger earthquakes. However, here in eastern North America, we do get earthquakes, as we saw today. We get earthquakes here in Connecticut as well. Some might remember that actually within the last month, we've had a couple very small earthquakes in Connecticut. There are the reasons for that. Scientists are still working on understanding the mechanisms for what we call intraplate earthquakes. But here in the eastern part of the U.S., we do have a lot of geological faults. These are left over from tectonic activity that goes back hundreds of millions of years, and those faults can be reactivated, and we can get moderate-sized earthquakes, as we saw today.
We do like our old bedrock and these smaller faults compared to what they have out in California with those tectonic plates. Dr. Long, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. I know a lot of people were a little freaked out this morning by that earthquake, so happy you could lend a little bit of perspective there, so thank you.
My pleasure.